Hi friends, it's Renee here with Domestic Machine Sewing. Welcome. If this is your first time, we are on part 2, so you may want to go back to part 1 of sewing our stash, making bags with our stash that we have on our hand. And we're sewing the Caitlin purse, and we're on the zipper part, sewing up the front zipper pocket, which I already did. So you just start from the bottom, sew around here, and then you're done with that. So that's the front pocket done, the front part of it done. And so now we're going to sew the front and the back together. This is the Caitlin purse. Love this pattern. And you're just going to find your centers and clip. Make sure they're lined up. I didn't line them up good. I hear my family talking outside the door. You know, it's that time of year where your whole family's home, which is good. I got my 2 youngest home, college students, and then my oldest is married and lives in another state with her husband. Goodness gracious, I'm having a hard time. Oh, I gotta move you down. Let me move you down so you can see what I'm doing. So we're taking the front main piece and the back main piece, and we're putting them together. Matching the centers, which I'm struggling with obviously today. Let's see, let me do my ends and see if I get it right this time. Yeah. Okay, so then we clip it. I did want to tell you, I think I mentioned in the first video, or at least one of my videos, recent videos, but I think it's the first one, that I found double-sided tape at Dollar Tree. This is in the States. And I didn't find the rotary cutter that I was looking for. It's a little mini rotary cutter. The reason I want a mini one is because when I do tassels, I just want a small one to do tassels. And I went to my Dollar Tree looking for it because someone on one of my sewing pages I follow said she found them at Dollar Tree. Well, my Dollar Tree didn't have it, but they did have double-sided tape, and I like the double-sided tape. It's only a 1/4 inch width, but it works well. So I was going to go back and get more before it sells out. I mean, you can't beat it. It's $1. Let me show it to you in case you missed the first video. So it's a 1/4 inch. I like 1/2 inch, y'all know that, but it didn't really gum up my needle or anything, which you can always use a Teflon, not Teflon needle, but yeah, Teflon needle, non-stick needle, not called Teflon needle, and it prevents sticking, helps not stick. But I didn't really have a problem with this. Is a little bit extra, which I'm not going to worry about. I'm just going to sew, and then I'll trim it. I'll trim the edges. So anyway, I thought I want to go back and get some more, but I don't have time to run to the store. So I thought I'm just going to order online, because I've ordered online from Dollar Tree before. It's dollartree.com. Now you have to be careful. You can sometimes they make you order in cases, which comes like $24 or $36 per case, and that's going to be $24 or $36. Well, I don't want to spend that much. But you can order the rotary cutter, the small. They don't call it a rotary cutter. They call it the craft rotary cutter, I think, and the craft tape. Look under craft rotary cutter and craft tape, or craft double-sided tape, and it comes up, and you can order 4 at a time. So I ordered 4 rotary cutters and 4 tapes, and so I'll be good to go for a while. Okay, so we're going to sew down one side. We're not going to sew these corners right here. Sew across here and then sew the other side. And we're going to use, what are we going to use? We are going to use, I think it's 3/8. Pretty sure. If she hasn't specified something else. Yep, it's 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. I'm going to use close to a 3, but not quite. Let's get going. Back stitch and just sew all the way down with 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. You got some thick parts where the pocket is in the other vinyl. So I've learned the longer your stitch length, the easier it is to sew through thicker stuff. But you just have to be careful because you want it to stay connected. I'm going to sew down here before I sew the bottom. Let me trim that a little bit. Because you have to be careful because you want it to stay connected. You don't want it to come apart, so you don't want to go too long of a stitch length. But I have found when I'm really struggling, I can extend the stitch length and we're good. Okay, let's get back stitching up our sides. Back stitch. Now we're going to stitch the bottom, and then we'll do our boxing. So I'm going to trim this a little more. Trim my threads. And we're good. So now we're going to box our corners. So anyways, you can order that stuff from Dollar Tree. I'm very excited about that. I ordered some. I know I wasn't supposed to buy. That's why I'm sewing my stash. But that is a good deal. Oh, good. Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna match up this seam with this seam, and I fold one seam to the left and one seam to the right when I'm doing this, just to make it easier on the thickness, so our sweet little machines can cover it. Can go over it with no problem. This one wants to fold the opposite way. Maybe I'll just do it the opposite way. Nope. We're going to stick to it. Left and right. Put a little foot there. And we're just going to sew across here. Let me do the other side. Box the other side. Oh, this one's behaving. There's always one side. It's like my hair. One side of my hair does good every day, one side does not. And it's normally the same side. It always wants to misbehave. I know you guys don't have that problem. Let me try and do this one again because I feel like it's... I want to get it even. Even Steven. I don't know if Dollar Tree ships internationally, but I'll look into it. They may ship internationally. I'm just checking my seam allowance. It is still 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. So we're just going to sew straight across here where we clipped. And I'm leaving my stitch length at almost a 3. I'll move my plastic clip. Now let's do the other side. Just mash it down and sew across. Okay, you can trim your threads or you can leave these little bits because no one's going to see us on the inside, but you know, I just get in the habit of clipping away. Okay, so now we're going to turn it right side out and we're going to add our D-rings, D-connectors. That's got the D-rings on them. This promo vinyl from My Print Board is very pliable. I just want to check my corners. Turned out good. Woohoo! Yep. So, it's going to be so pretty. So springy, so summery. If I do say so myself. So what we're going to do, oh, I see a thread poking out, is we're going to take our D-rings, our D-connectors, and we're going to put them upside down. I'm going to fold my seam allowance to one side. You can open it up, but remember we're not sewing, top stitching over this, so it's not going to matter. So I'm going to put my D-ring upside down, and this is where I'm going to do seam allowance across here, and then I'm going to do a double line just to firm it up, and then I'll do some rivets because I'm not top stitching across it. That's why I'm doing that. We talked about that in the last video. So if you want to see that, go to the last video. Make sure you center it. Try and push it down so y'all can see. I'm not pinning it. Maybe I should, but it's just this little bit. Not pinning, clipping. I sewed clothes for a long time when my kids were young, but I don't anymore. Waiting on the grandbabies. I only have one married, 2 in college, so that might be a while. I am going to keep it almost to a 3-stitch length just to keep it secure. Back stitch, sew across, back stitch, and now I'm going to add another line to it. Back stitch, and with the rivet that should really hold it secure, so I'm not worried about top stitching over it. So there's one side. Now we're going to do the other side. I'm going to put a little clip until I get it from under, so I can get underneath my presser foot without it moving. Here we go. Again, I'm doing a double line. And to secure it, and we did the other side. Now we're going to put this aside, so when we turn the bag out, these are going to go up like this and hold our strap. We're moving to the lining, and we're going to add our main facing to the lining. And so what's the first one I do? Let me double check here. I don't think it really matters. I'll do this one first. So remember, I had already done a zipper on this piece. I had cut it for another pattern, and then it was bigger, so I cut it down for this pattern. So I'm not going to be adding the zipper. So it's the same way you always add a zipper. You can see the instructions that she has. They're very good. But now we're just going to add, so when it comes to the zipper part, I'm skipping that, just so you know. When it comes to the facing, you add it to the lining. Now I'm using fabric and woven fused. Oh, actually I used Decaville Light because I wanted a little more stiff on these top parts. So I'm going to cut my centers, mark my centers by cutting them. Just clipping a little spot. You can use a pen, whatever works for you to mark your centers. I'm going to have to turn on the fan in a minute because of these lights make it so hot in here. Plus my iron on. Little tepid. So your main facing piece, it curves. So you want the lesser top. Lesser, is that the word I want? The shorter end on the bottom. So we're going to take the bottom piece, which is longer crosswise. Oh, I need to find my centers for this too, for the lining. I forgot to do this when I was cutting out, because I was cutting out like 5 Caitlin's, and I just want to get her done because, you know, I don't like cutting them out. I'm going to go ahead and clip the center on the other side because we're going to do the other side the same way. I know my first video was long. I hope you'll watch my videos to the end. It hurts me more when you don't. YouTube doesn't show your videos or something as much when people skip out on them. I think, I'm not sure. I'm learning all about this, but anyways, I watch to the end usually on sewing videos, or I let it run. But usually I'm watching early in the morning when everybody's asleep, because I'm an early bird. I wake up early and I can't start sewing yet because then that wakes everybody up. Even though I have before. But I have more energy in the morning than I do at night. So I've always been an early bird. Always have woken up early. Get her done. That's my motto. Get her done. So we're using, remember, 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. And we're going to connect these. And I'm going to put it at 2.5. Let me, I always forget this. I need to mark it. I know I need to mark it. So I was right. Okay. I question myself a lot. Can move the zipper out of the way a little bit. Okay, rock and roll. Back stitch all the way down. Back stitch. Trim your threads. How many times do we have to say that? Many. So we're going to fold this back and we're going to top stitch across here. And I'm just keeping my white thread in. I'm going to turn it to a 4 and top stitch 1/8 of an inch. I think I was asking my last video, where do you sew? Do you have a sewing room designated for sewing? Do you sew at the kitchen table? Do you sew on the floor? For a long time, most of my sewing journey has been at the kitchen table. But when we moved to Georgia, we had extra bedrooms, so I claimed the guest bedroom as my sewing room too. So there's the top stitching for that, and now we're going to do the same on the other piece of lining. Add this. I've already marked my centers. The bottom part connects to the top part of the lining. Filming during the day is my best time because of the light. I don't have one of those fancy lights. I just have like 1, 2, 3, 4 lights and then the sunlight. Hopefully it's bright enough for you. Okay. Oops, I dropped one. Again, we're attaching the main facing to the lining facing, or lining piece. Back stitch. I'm keeping it at the same as I did the other one. This waterproof canvas is kind of like a rubbery plastic on the back, and it gets stuck. And I know that our Australian friend Tori, she says America's waterproof canvas is much thicker than what she has. Just so you know. I was watching Tori early this morning doing her wallet pattern she created. Oops, I just pulled out my thread. Let me put this back in. This is when you need music. Doctor office music. Background music. Doctor office music might put you to sleep, depending on the doctor. This, am I using Gutermann? Yeah. I'm using Gutermann thread, and I thought Hobby Lobby thread that I bought was Gutermann, but it's not. It's the same type of spool, but it's their own name brand. Sewology, I think is what it's called, and it sheds, has a lot of lint, not like Gutermann. Gutermann does not. Okay, I'm keeping it at 4 and just going across 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. And so I've top stitched those. And so your next step, let me trim that thread, would be to add your zipper, but I've already done that. So we're moving on. I'm going to try and keep this at a minimum. Moving on to the next. Let me check the pattern. This is only my second one I've made, but I'm going to be making 3 more. There's the zipper. Okay, then we're going to attach the magnetic snap. And on her pattern, she has a place where you can mark it. So let me find the pattern. I forget which pattern it is. Oh, here it is. It's on your main facing piece, and you just put a little hole there, and you just mark it. You line it up to the center, and you put a little mark there, and I'm going to use an erasable, heat erasable pen, and I just put a little mark there. Did that come out good? Let me double check that. I'm not liking this. What is the problem here? My pen, I think the tape or the pattern's getting in the way and not marking it clearly. One last time. And it's still a different spot. Oh, I'm such a perfectionist sometimes. So long as you line them up, it's okay. Goodness gracious, Renee, this is not hard. Centers, center, line at the top, line up the top. Hopefully it's cooled off enough where my ink won't erase. The tape was getting in the way where I had to poke through the hole. That's the problem. I need to clip the hole. Okay, got that marked. I'm going to mark the other one. She has a center where you line on her pattern where you line up with your center and your top. And then you mark it. There you go. Sometimes the struggle is ridiculous. So what I'm going to do is take my washers that has the little hole. I'm going to put it over the circle I made, the dot I made. And then I'm going to draw the lines. I'm going to use the black eraser this time so I can see it better. And you do that on both lining pieces. And then I take, oops, dropsies again. Y'all just call me Droppin' Renee. That's all. Droppin' Renee. She's always dropping something. So I'm going to take my self-healing mat, a little small cutting board, got off of Amazon. And I'm going to take my Fiskars cutting tool. And I'm going to cut through. I'm making my cuts first because I'm going to iron another piece of Decaville. Heavy, actually, I think I might do. This is Decaville Light. And my marks on the front will go away. So if I already have it cut, I can see where I cut it. So you just cut that through. This is one sharp tool. It will hurt you. Okay, so now I'm going to get a piece of, and I keep my scraps on everything. I mean, I use the little pieces for everything. Let me get up here to my little scrap center here. I have one on the door and I have one right here. One day I'm going to get a mic that I don't have to be connected to, and that way I can go over to my door and y'all can still hear me when I move up in the world. Okay, so I'm going to iron an extra piece behind where I cut just for security purposes to keep it from going through. Careful not to over iron, because you already got one piece of Decaville ironed on. You don't want to over iron that, start coming off. Got that done. Is that secure enough? I think so. Do the other one. Oops, hello. Not on the front, Renee. That secure enough? Yeah. Okay, this one's cool. So let me put my cutting mat away. Get my Fiskars cutting tool out again. And just cut those lines again. I filmed, today is Wednesday, the 25th. I filmed first part yesterday on, no, today's Tuesday. Today's Tuesday, the 25th. I filmed yesterday's on Monday, and it's still uploading. I have to export it from my computer and then upload it. So it probably won't come up till tomorrow. It's crazy, crazy how long it takes. So I'm putting the female on the back and just sticking it through my slits that I cut. And then I need to sew that close because we're not turning through there, but that was from another pattern piece. So, and then I take my scissors and fold it over, then I put a piece of double-sided tape without peeling off the top. This is one of the first ones I got. It's real thick. It gummed up every needle I had, so even the non-stick ones. I just use it for this now, just to protect your fabric. I'm going to do it on this one too. Put the male on this one. Scissors again. And double-sided tape. You can use duct tape. That would work. It's just to keep this from sticking anything. Makes me feel better anyway that it helps. Not sure it does, but it does. I'm going to sew this pocket closed real quick just because. Let me re-iron it again. We're not turning it out. I had done this for another pattern. Ooh, it's a little hot. This little iron gets hot, hot, hot. Oh, my thread came loose again. Let's do this one more time. Or did I ever thread it? Who knows with me? Who knows? I'm still keeping white thread in there even though it's a black. And I'm going to do a 2.5 stitch length. Just to secure this. Now this is not how your bag will be. It'll be automatically closed up because you'll just fold up your, that was a little close there. Let me go back over that. There we go. So now my pocket's closed. Yep, okay. So now we got our snaps done and our lining done. Snap it together, look at it, measure it up. Worked good. Yay! Okay, what time are we at? We are at 32. So I'm going to stop here for today and do part 3 for the next part to finish up the bag, and hopefully it won't take 30 minutes. Thanks for watching to the end. I hope this has been helpful. Go check out our pattern. I think it's worth every penny that you pay for it. It's not expensive in US dollars anyway. And try making it yourself on your domestic machine. If you want to be notified for my next video, click subscribe and click that little bell and you'll be notified when I upload part 3 and any other videos that I do. Thanks for watching. I'd love a thumbs up, for the video, and I'll see you on part 3.